Hi, I'm Natasha Saxon. Welcome to Teen V. Here today is Andrew Pugliese, sports editor of the Oswegonian. As you know, March Madness and the NCAA Tournament have started. We're here today to learn more about creating a successful bracket. So my first question is, what exactly is the NCAA Tournament?
The NCAA tournament, in this sense, is the Division One NCAA tournament for men's basketball. NCAA, is split into Division One, Two, and Three. Division One having the most teams and being the largest of the three divisions. So this is their NCAA tournament to decide their national champion. They're split into four different pods, coming down to Indianapolis at the beginning of April to decide the national champion of the tournament. So you have to win as many games as you can. It's a single elimination tournament, win in advance, and hopefully at the end you're holding that national championship trophy.
So what is a bracket and how is it organized?
Well, a bracket is how this tournament is broken up. When you look at a bracket, you usually print it out offline, NCAA.com, ESPN.com, wherever you get your bracket from. And it's broken up into four different pods, as I just said: the Midwest, the East, the South, and the West. So they're split up by regions. And each pod has 16 teams within it for a total of 64 teams. But the tournament does start with 68 because there are four play-in round games to decide the last four official berths into the tournament. All 68 teams get in, only 64 make the first round. So it's broken up into the four pods, 16 teams, and you're trying to win your little pod or your region to advance to the Final Four or the national semifinals to win a national semifinal game, to get to the national championship, and again, hoist the national championship trophy.
How many brackets do you think you should create?
It's a very, very debated question. As a person who's a purist, I like to think that you should only make your bracket once and submit multiple copies of it to different places. So say you have an office pool or a family pool, a pool with your friends, a pool at school, however you know the people you're competing against, fill out one bracket, make copies of it, and submit one of each to each pool you're competing with. Other people like to think they like to do more than one, but I like to say stick to one version and just submit one copy to each pool.
So the advantage to creating more is to just increase your chances of winning?
In most cases, it definitely is about trying to increase your chances of winning. Other reasons being, just to have a little more fun, try out different reasons for picking teams. The mascot's cool, I like the team name, the school colors are my favorite colors, things like that. Those are other reasons to kind of get in on the fun and just be a little more laid back about it and not being so uptight. Because a lot of people do this for money or for bragging rights, but sometimes just having fun with it and picking your teams based on quirky reasons is another reason to do more than one bracket.
What factors should be taken into account when you choose a team to advance?
My philosophy has always been pick the upsets early or the underdogs early and pick the favorites later on in the tournament. That meaning the tournament's split up into 6 rounds. The first round, second round, Sweet 16 or the round of 16 teams left. Quarterfinals, also known as the Elite Eight. Semifinals, known as the Final Four, and the championship game. From the first round, Sweet 16 area, you can pick some upsets, pick some lower seeds, double-digit seeds, because there's 16 teams in each bracket and they're seeded. Pick some of the lower seeds. But as you get to the Elite Eight or the quarterfinals, semifinals, championship game, you want to pick those 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, 3 seeds, higher seeds to win, because there's a reason they're that highly seeded. Some really nice upsets to pick early on. 5 seed versus 12 seed is definitely a favorited game to pick the lower seed. Just statistically in recent years, those 12 seeds have had success against the 5 seeds. Other ones, 8 versus 9, 7 versus 10 are some pretty safe ones because you're closer in seeding. Ones to avoid, definitely the 1 versus 16 or the 2 versus 15 seeds. Those 1 and 2 seeds are the top 4 or 8 teams in the tournament. There's a reason they're that highly seeded. They're very, very good teams. You want to have them advancing deep in your bracket because, again, there's a reason why they're there.
So do you think that Albany can upset Oklahoma in the first round?
Now notice I stuck to 1 and 2 seeds as the favorites in this bracket. Albany being a 14 seed, they're facing a 3 seed in the Oklahoma Sooners. I like Albany's chances. They have a coach who's been there many different times. In fact, Coach Will Brown of the Albany Great Danes was the head coach in 2006, I believe, when the Great Danes were a 16 seed against a 1 seed in the UConn Huskies. Almost pulled that off. With about 10 minutes left, they had a chance to win that game. So he's been there before. Come halftime, if his team's in a tough spot, he's going to know what to say to get them going in the second half. Not to mention, a lot of players in his team, his seniors, his sophomores, his juniors, have all had tournament experience. When you're a lower seed, tournament experience is a very key thing because players don't get caught in the limelight. They're not scared by the spotlight. They like being in those moments. Also, if anybody watched the Albany game, to get to the tournament, big shot at the buzzer. When you have players who aren't afraid to take those shots, it's a really big advantage to your team because at the end of a game, when you're a lower seed, more than likely you're going to need to hit a big shot. You're not going to win by 10 points, 15 points. You're going to win a tight game, so those shots are going to be key. And it never hurts to have some good rebounders, which Albany does have.
So this is the big question. Who do you think will win the 2015 NCAA tournament?
I hate being that guy, but I think it's going to be the UConn. It's going to be the UConn. Yeah, UConn won last year. No, I think it's going to be the team that UConn beat last year, which is University of Kentucky Wildcats. As much as everybody hates them because they have all this great freshman talent, they're going to all go to the NBA next year. Nobody likes the team that has a bunch of players who are just in college to get to the NBA, but Coach John Calipari has two essentially starting fives. That meaning he starts 5 players at the beginning of the game, but the 5 players he brings off the bench could easily be starting on a lot of teams in Division I basketball. So the fact that he has just such a deep team, so much talent, you have to favor the Wildcats. Not to mention they have a pretty easy road, all things considered. Being the overall number 1 seed, that's a benefit you get. The 2 seed in their bracket, Kansas, they've already beaten them by 30 points this year. They've dominated them this year. Maryland and Notre Dame, 2 other high seeds in this pool, or this region, that could give the Wildcats trouble. They're very hot, streaky teams. Notre Dame plays very good at home, so neutral site might be something they struggle with. And you look at Maryland, new conference year in the Big Ten. I personally think that the Terrapins did better in the Big Ten this year because of coming from the ACC, the conference that Notre Dame's now in. They're used to scoring more. Being able to score is something that the Big Ten doesn't have a lot of. So those teams had their stats, I think, padded a little bit this year. Kentucky's got an easier road than a lot of people think. I think you got to favor the Wildcats.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other information about the tournament you'd like to share?
If I can give any tips, it would be just a few different teams to keep an eye out for. Arizona and Wisconsin, out of their region, the top 2 seeds, very good teams. A lot of people like them. Duke is a team. Don't put them too far just yet. They've dealt with some injuries of late. They're not as deep as people think. They're a team to watch out for. I still think they could be a Final Four team, but don't just put the Blue Devils right in your Final Four. And then my dark horse of all teams, Michigan State. You got to love the Spartans. Their head coach, Tom Izzo, for a while had sent every single one of his graduating classes to a Final Four. He knows what to do to get it done. Their team just made a run to their conference championship game, so they're feeling pretty hot right now. Another thing to look for, hot teams right now at this time are going to continue that hot streak in most cases into the tournament. So look for those teams who made deep conference tournament runs. They're the kind of teams that could keep it going into this tournament.
Okay. Thanks for coming in and talking to us, Andrew. See you next time on Teen V.